So this is my first Yu-Gi-Oh video for this series of videos. Hopefully I'll be able to do at least one per week for each game that I do play, or at least the games that start to get played at my store. There's starting to be an uptake on Star Wars minis, so I might end up doing something on that. Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm just going to cover synchros. Not anything like horribly new. It was introduced back in the fall, but I'm still getting feedback from the mechanic. First I'll describe the mechanic, then what I'm getting back. The mechanic introduces a new creature type. Creature type is Tuner. Well, it's not really type. Psychic's a new creature type. Tuner is just a side thing. Whereas a creature might say effect, instead of saying effect, it'll say Tuner. If it's a vanilla creature, it'll just have /Tuner. That's all it is. It just gives them an additional name. It's like saying search for Dark World. It's a tuner. Tuners are used to bring out the Synchro creatures. Synchro creatures are now in the extra deck, which used to be the fusion deck. The extra deck is now fusions and synchros, and is restricted to 15 cards. So there is now a limit. Synchro creatures are white, and we'll say how to bring them out, same as, say, a fusion monster would. It'll say one tuner plus one or more non-tuner monsters. If it needs a specific tuner, it'll say so. If it needs more monsters, or a specific type of monster, it'll say so. It's all written down in the card. Nothing we haven't experienced. The way in which to synchro summon a creature is to have, and this is the generic, mind you, is to have a tuner creature out in play, and any number of other creatures in play. Now you sacrifice the tuner and one or more creatures, so for this experiment it'll be Crabons and Gold. Now there's 7 stars total between those two creatures. You sacrifice both of them, you search your extra deck for a synchro creature of 7 stars. It isn't like a ritual where you can go over that. It needs to be exactly that number of stars. That's the trick with synchros. So I could bring out, say, Black Rose Dragon. Just ask for a tuner and one or more non-tuner monsters. That's something else to keep in mind. You can't build a deck of only tuners. They prevent you from doing that. It can only be one tuner and any other non-tuners. So it keeps itself relatively balanced. Stars are exactly only one tuner out. Okay. Tuner creatures will have abilities, same as a fusion or same as any other effect monster. Any ability that would harm a synchro has the same ability as it would on a fusion. So if you try to bounce that to hand, it'll go back to the extra deck. Now, here's the problem that I get. So, Yu-Gi-Oh's been out for 6, maybe 7 years now. It's been out for a while. And they introduced a majority of all the cards that we've ever seen in the first couple sets. Rituals, fusions, effects, just every card under the sun, first couple sets. We have not had really any change for 5 or 6 years. Then they introduced synchro creatures. After 5 years, I think you're allowed a new card type. It's been 5 years. If you started playing this game in high school, you're already partially way through college. I had customers quit the game because they introduced synchros. I had someone talk to me today saying that they'd quit the game and were just getting back into it because of the synchro creatures. And I asked him why. He said, well, all the decks are using synchro monsters. They're all synchro decks. You know, when a new mechanic comes out and it's taken over like that and every deck has to run it, then, I don't believe in the card game anymore. It's not balanced anymore. At which point I had to keep from slapping him and tell him how he was wrong. And here's why he's wrong. These are no more unbalanced than fusion monsters. Really. Or rituals. We'll go with ritual monsters too. Because now there are spells for ritual monsters that you can get any vanilla ritual monster, or even just some non-vanilla ritual monsters, or even some fusions, just from that spell. You don't need the specific spell anymore for most of those cards. Synchros, I had a Dark Hole deck, and I still have it. I put in 2 Cravons, and I never had a Fusion deck before, so I made a Synchro deck. Small little thing. I rarely bring out a Synchro creature in this deck. Occasionally I will. It'll help me out. It hasn't broken my game. It has improved my deck a bit. But it's not broken. Do other people make that? Yeah. The problem is, a lot of the Synchro creatures that they introduced seemed broken. They looked broken. Stardust Dragon. Goyo Guardian. Those are the first 2 that really pop out to mind. People were clamoring for this, but not so much anymore. Like, it's a nice, dark hole, but that's all. People didn't know how to get around Stardust, and Goyo just got annoying. They would have released those cards anyway had they not made Synchro creatures. Would it be under a specific condition? Maybe for Stardust. Goyo, I doubt it. Goyo probably would have been like some 2 tribute creature. Might even have been a 1 tribute creature. It doesn't really matter. Just the fact that it got out a little faster for some more board sacking, that's all it is. That's all it ever was. If someone builds a Synchro deck, good for them. It's a different mechanic. Is it the mechanic that everyone's running? Not really. People complain about Synchros. You know what ended up owning face in my store for a while? Glad Beasts and Lightsworn. Are they Synchro decks? No! Neither one of them were. Each one maybe sideboarded a couple, but it wasn't a huge mechanic. If anything, Glad Beast used fusions. Oh my goodness. So, Synchros, new mechanic. I think it's healthy, I think it's balanced, and I think people who QQ about it were looking for an excuse to get out of the game anyway. Those are my opinions, and thank you for listening to them.